Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Dance. We're playing more Final Fantasy XIV. Last episode we did the Weaver questline, and today we're going to go and do the Alchemist questline. Now, a little side note, I have an air conditioning unit on right now in the background, which you may hear, but there's not really much I can do about it. So yeah. The window is closed though, so that removes another point of noise, but I really need this because otherwise I'm not going to be able to keep going in this freaking temperature. That about Guildkeeper. How many times must I tell him not to bother me with these trifling matters? As if I, a veritable titan of the trade, had nothing better to do with my time. Oh, look here. It is my finest assistant in all things alchemical. Your timing is as impeccable as ever. It just so happens I have a bothersome little chore that needs... I have the most important of tasks that can be entrusted only to you. Our guild received a summons to action from Ulda's own brass blades. They asked that we come to conduct an autopsy beyond the city walls, and claim the subject is a most curious corpse. Surely it is no more than the miserable husk of some impoverished plebe or some glorious gangrenous wrath. Even so, our simpleton guildkeeper, took on the task, and so I must investigate. There is a brass blade stationed before Elric's burial chamber. Who knows more? Go to him. Are you the one sent by the Alchemist Guild? Listen here, for that good. Listen then, and wait. Listen then, and that good. Listen then, and that good. What the fuck kind of... The corpse you are to examine lies within Erlic's burial chamber. Follow me. It doesn't make any bloody sense. This here is what we call the Alchemist for. There's a coffin before you and a body within it. We need to know for good and all whether it is dead or not. You may think it queer we need help for such a thing, but mark my word. One look in the coffin and you'll think it no more. A young lady lies in a coffin, devoid of both breath and pulse. Though she appears dead, you sense that she could spring forth at any moment. That's weird. What say you? She looks dead, doesn't she? She's no pulse, no breathing neither. But you feel it, don't you? Feels like her eyes might pop right open. Like she might up and walk. When you see her, they're dead and cold, but you feel it all the same. Damn strange. And this is strange too. Proper burial in Ulda costs no small amount of coin. Most small folk cast their corpses out in the waste beyond the walls. Fodder for beasts, they be. But this last weren't thrown out to rot. Would that she had, I'd think her no more than some starved beggar. Dead of an empty belly, but there's stranger things yet. She's dressed common enough, but look at the skin. Pale and as a peach, and just as pretty. Them nails are cut in color too. She's no plain folk. No, she lived a life of some luxury, this one. And look there, the wound and the head. Makes you think murder, don't it? Then there's the strangest thing of all. If she's been dead long enough to be buried, and it's hot as hell, all hell's out there in Thanalan, why hasn't our little lass started to rot? Huh, looks like you're just as baffled as we are. Do this then. Go back and talk to that Severian. If he's got any wisdom to give, bring it back to me. Curious. Inspect the fresh sarcophagus. How did you fare? Was there anything of interest or important indeed they asked of us? No decomposition and an intangible sense of lingering life. Well, dare say I assumed the request from the brass blades would prove equal parts tiresome and trivial, but I confess my interest is quite piqued. So be it, I shall go and examine these remains myself. In the interim, you may do with yourself whatever you see fit to pass the time. But might I suggest you spend some hours at your alchemical studies? It is a long and winding road to the greatness of Severian. There you are, my beautiful pupil. I have been to the burial ground and examined that coffin of which you spoke. And yes, I wholeheartedly agree with you. A most strange phenomenon indeed is being visited upon the remains of that young lady. There are the marks of blunt trauma about her skull. There are not the slightest signs of decomposition. There is a complete absence of the onset of rigor mortis. There's much and more that baffles science here, but what interests me most of all, were the signs that indicate she was the subject of a most fell and forbidden practice. It would be both premature and fallacious to proclaim this woman still among the living, but I would concede with some degree of confidence that she was the target of an attempted resurrection. Never would I have thought others so inclined as myself to toy with the taboo. Ah yes, now I recall. I once heard tell of a great thaumaturge of the Order of Nalthal who was rumored to have dabbled in magic sinister and sable magic that sought to undo the natural law. I wonder, could those rumors allude to this same attempted resurrection you're seeing? Hear me now, my ever-capable assistant. You must travel to the Thaumaturge Guild and there speak with a priest by the name of Yaya Roku. I have it from his mouth and his alone, whatever truth there may be to these rumors. I have the most sneaking suspicion they may be inextricably linked to our curious corpse. Hello there. Have you come to offer praise to Natal, or perhaps you wish to give alms to our order? A great thaumaturge once in our ranks. One who dabbled in a taboo, you say? Oh, and by taboo I gather you're referring to the arts of resurrection, are you not? I'm afraid that is to say, those arts are taboo. They are forbidden to be practiced by the hands of mere man. But yes, now that you mention this, I do recall one such thaumaturge. He was with us some time ago, and was obsessed with discovering the very origins of life. His zeal was unmatched, and drove him to explore those darkest arts. But the answers he sought could not be found elsewhere. But for the life of me, I cannot remember his name. You must forgive me, my memory is not what it once was. Perhaps some alchemical potion or portable would serve to clear the coppers from my aging mind. I must warn you, however, I've no palate for bitter things, but fear not. I wager Severian of the Alchemist Guild would know best how to mix an intellectually agreeable with a sweet-toothed Lalafell. Wait, how to mix an intellectually agreeable with a sweet-toothed Lalafell such as myself. What in the heck? What in tarnation are these words? I don't do words so good. I ain't good with words. My lord. Come then, speak. What insights did Yoruko have to share? Or Yaya Roku, sorry. He asked for medicine in exchange for his knowledge. Very well, then he will have exactly what he desires. He will concoct for our little friend an intellectuary so sweet he can count himself lucky if he is ever able to taste the bitterness again. Surely a sweetened intellectuary will prove no difficult task for one of your alchemical abilities. You need only add a healthy dose of an electuary, such as birch syrup, to the normal components. I dare say the sweetness will be enough to rot the teeth from its very mouth. Your task is before you. Mix the intellectuary, take it to Yayoroku, and have from him whatever information he has to give. And see to it you do not become forgetful before you report your findings to me. Intellectuary. Okay, looks like I've not done anything about my hotbar over here. There we go. I truly am sorry to trouble you with such a childish request. I pray a sweetened intellectuary is within your means to procure. A sweetened tonic believed to improve cognition. Is this the intellectuary you've prepared? Made to order just for me? I'm most grateful. Delicious! You certainly have succeeded in erasing any notes of bitterness. Well done, well done. Yes, 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 I feel the cobwebs clearing already. Forgive me, I spoke a lie when I said I could not recall the name of the thaumaturge you asked of. I simply wanted nothing more than to try an intellectuary. And thought the opportunity too ripe not to pick. Alright then, you little turd. And now, out of guilt, I will tell you all that I know. The man of whom you speak is none other than our former guildmaster, Memowepo. Before the calamity, he poured himself into studies of life's origins, and his appetite for knowledge was voracious and insatiable. I have heard rumors myself that he came to be in possession of an enchanted item called Heartstrike, a blade fabled to house the power to bring the dead back to life. I know that if Memowepo ever dared use the blade to attempt a resurrection, but I can tell you that he was stripped of his title and privileges for countless crimes. Under normal circumstances, we would not consent to such a blatant overreach, but the Soldana was adamant and the evidence was damning. But back to the blade. Around the same time he was said to have obtained Heartstrike, he purchased for himself interment and funeral rites at Errolik's burial chamber. To this day, there are those in these halls who whisper that perhaps the coffin he purchased contains the remains of some poor soul who found themselves the victim of his perverse experimentations with death and life. Of course, I myself believe no such thing, but if you have cause for concern, I suggest you visit Errolik's burial chamber. You will need to speak with Edgitha before you are permitted to examine the remains interred there under Memowepo's care. Fancy words, magic man. You wish to examine the coffin in the charge of Memowepo, and do you have his consent to do so? And I'm afraid I cannot permit it. Only the holder of the burial rites and relatives of the deceased are given leave to disturb these coffins. If you have not the blessings of either, then be gone from this place. Be gone, thought! No. Dies of cringe. Yeet. Well, if it isn't my intrepid aid, pray tell, are we able to learn from Yayaroku? I see, so it is looking ever more likely that the taboo practiced by Memowepo was indeed that of resurrecting the dead. And now we know of this foul instrument as well, this Heartstrike. I confess when I myself first looked into the magic of life and death some years ago, I heard tales of an enchanted blade by that name. But by the gods, never would have thought it to truly exist. It can be no mere coincidence that Memowepo purchased internment rights under the same moon he discovered the blade. I now have very little doubt he meant to use the Heartstrike to resurrect whomever he buried there. After all, he must have the dead before he can bring back the dead. This may very well mean the corpse of Memowepo put to rest in Errolik's burial chamber is the victim of an attempted resurrection. We cannot but investigate this further. Yet I know the protocols of that hallowed place. The keeper of the burial rites and family alone are allowed to pry open those coffins. Very well, I will request a meeting with Memowepo. I mean to ask everything there is to know about this Heartstrike, and will prostrate myself if I must to acquire his leave to further examine the sarcophagus in his charge. You seem shocked. Does it surprise you to see me to take the initiative in such matters? I beg you, do not misinterpret the situation at hand. I am acting out of my own interest in this, and mine alone. No intention to permit you to have all the fun. I'm off then. Why not let your curiosity get the better of you while you're still here? Or while you're here. The guild has made many promising discoveries of late. There's still much for you to learn within its walls. Ah, my erudite extern. Welcome, welcome. I've been wanting to tell you... I did indeed meet and speak with Memowepo. Alas, even for all my charm, I was unable to get the truth out of him with regards to Heartstrike. And rightly so, he is a jailed man, imprisoned for crimes he is known to have committed. Should he confess to any further crimes, his sentence will only be extended. One can hardly fault him for his reticence. I hoped, at the very least, to acquire permission to investigate the coffin in his charge, yet I failed even in that. We must not give ourselves to despair just yet. There are other ways to exhume the dead beyond the keeper of the burial rites. We must turn our efforts to the deceased, to those the deceased has left behind, relatives, a spouse. In their presence, the gravekeeper will have no pretense for preventing us to proceed. No doubt it may sound somewhat unagreeable to you, but I fear there is no other means at our disposal. What you must do now is clear. Travel to Errolik's burial chamber and speak with Edgitha. Learn what you can from her of whatever family survives whatever family survives our queer corpse. Imagine being able to properly speak. What is it with these people in maid dresses suddenly? You again. I told you before to leave, and I won't again. You come on behalf of the alchemist Severian, and you wish to know of the deceased relatives. Very well, we've had such requests from him before with regards to preservation of the dead. For such a noble deed, I'll not deny you the information you seek. The man at rest is the sarcophagus you speak of. The man at rest in the sarcophagus you speak of is survived by the great songstress of Ul'dah in days past. Flamin, I'm told she can be found in Revenant's Toll. If you are able to convince her to come here with you, protocol will permit me to give you leave to examine the dead in her care. Is that Ellison man in the 1.0 trailer that's next to her? She is up here. Ugh. Sorry, I'm playing with one hand right now because I'm also drinking. Well, hello there, Lynn. Whatever brings you to these parts? Erlic's burial chamber. You wish to know of the body interred there in my charge. And what could you possibly mean to do with such knowledge? The body at rest is someone very special to me. If this is simply a matter of satisfying your curiosity, I'm afraid I must refuse. So, you have discovered a corpse that seems to be yet alive. I do not understand what it has to do with the deceased in my care. Surely you do not think there is some connection between the two? Heartstrike, you say? A blade imbued with the power to resurrect the dead. You suspect a thaumaturge of conducting such experiments? If that were to be true, then... Very well. I will tell you of the one laid to rest in my keep. It is my love, my dearest Niall. He was murdered, just before the coming of the calamity. But there is more. Once dead, it was as if time itself stopped, and as if the natural laws were suspended just for him. His body does not deteriorate. Even now he appears as the day he died. The grief of losing my Niall was more than I could bear. I surrendered myself to the belief that some strange affliction had taken him, but that someday he would waken from it and return to me. Without that to carry me, I myself could not have survived. But as I spent my days raising Asilia, I slowly came to live with the realization that he was dead, and that never would he return to me. And now the belief I cling to is that his soul is at peace at Thal's side. Even so, I searched tirelessly for some way to make sense of what is happening to my Niall, but I have found nothing to lead me to an answer. You say you have found a young lady whose remains exhibit the same strangeness as my love's, and that this blade, this heartstrike, may well be responsible for it. That is what you are thinking, is it not? Then I will help you where I can. Let us find this heartstrike, together. But I'm reminded now of what transpired the last time you and I worked together in such a way. Perhaps... Yes, I know just who to call upon for this. An old friend of mine will lend his aid. I have asked him to meet with us at Erlic's burial chamber. Will you come? I should very much like to introduce you to my Niall. Okay. 1.0 players, rejoice! For you probably know this character. And maybe even the thaumaturge guild leader. And maybe even a heartstrike. Could all be stuff from 1.0. It looks as though my old friend has yet to arrive. Come, let us meet Niall while we wait. It is time to open his coffin. Yep, it's him. Inside the old coffin lies a perfectly preserved Ellison male. His beautiful, peaceful visage suggests a state of slumber rather than death. The absence of a pulse and breath suggests the absence of life, and it feels as though the corpse could awaken at any moment. It is the same phenomenon displayed by the remains of the young lady. Well, I'd not expect to be called here of all places. It's been a long time, Lamin. Do not know who this is. Ah, I know that guy. Indeed it has. I wonder, should I still call you the Bronze Bull? Don't start with that. It's Grainfar, just like it always has. Just like it always was, whatever. Grainfar is an old friend to both Niall and myself. Oh, I know this adventurer, the one who forged me a sword. Give my thanks for that, still. Cherish it to this very day. Tell me then, for what are we here? Lynn is with us, Grainfar, and she is here to help to save Niall. I've come to realize that so long as we are unable to put his death behind us, we will never be able to move forward with our lives. There were choices I made when Niall was killed. I chose not to dwell on his death, chose to leave my friend and make myself scarce. Ever since, I haven't been able to live with myself, so if there's aught I can do now, I'll do it. Let us give him, and ourselves, peace. Thank you, Gainfar. Your words bring me great comfort. Then I must turn to you now. Can't speak. Then I turn now to you, Lynn. Tell your tale to Gainfar. Tell him of the corpses. The thaumaturge, Heartstrike, everything. Not a corpse that doesn't rot. Can't be. Heartstrike lost its power. It's useless, and has been ever since I stole it from Lord Lorito some 5 years past. You? You mean to say you had it in your possession? Gainfar, tell me now. Do you know who did this to Niall? If only. I saw how he was. Dead, but not... It wasn't natural. Put of the blade and what it could do, I suspected had been used on him. So I thought if Heartstrike could be used to do this, perhaps it could be used to undo it. Meant to free his spirit from whatever jail it's in. I learned the blade belonged to Lord Lorito, and so I broke into his estate and stole it. But the Heartstrike you took was already void of power, if it ever had any at all, and so you weren't able to save Niall with it. Right, after that I threw the blade into Soot Creek to be done with it. But this changes things. If Momoepo dealt with in these darkest of hearts, might be he knows a way to save Niall. Problem is, that crazy mummer's not like to speak any truth from his cell. I'll meet with him myself, if some old friends of my own have maybe able to arrange it. And you, adventurer, I'll have a word outside with you. That is interesting as fuck. Did not expect... Like, I noticed the hair, like, in the quest picture. I just did not expect it to be Flamin. To meet with Momoepo may prove simple enough, but having the truth from him will not. That is where I ask your aid. Need you to speak with the alchemist Severian. Find out what tonics or potions he can master to loose the lips of our Lalafell. I mean to present it under the guise of good intentions. Forgive me. This is the way, but I did not wish to speak of it to Flamin. Now go, and may the gods be with you. Alright, looks like we have... Well, it would make sense if we have another party, considering the fact that we have a very identical death. And that of, like, a seemingly relatively highborn lady. So the remains of the famed goldsmith in the Niall Fresent. I'm sorry. Suffer the same twisted fate as that of our young lady, and you believe the blade Heartstrike to be the common thread that weaves established you together? Most intriguing. And now Grindfire asked for a gift for Momoepo, does he? Concoction to turn a Lalafell's tongue to talking. Such deviousness. Dare say I like the way Grindfire thinks. As just so happens, I was considering a similar tactic myself. Indeed, I've already begun preparation of the ingredients needed. Yet a dilemma lies before us, namely this. Mamuepo is not fool enough to simply imbibe some unknown tonic presented him by a random caller. But as can be expected, I have the solution. It has come to my knowledge that Mamuepo has an unslakable thirst for Mantoy juice. And it just so happens that exposing said juice to the fermentation process twice over yields a natural truth serum, one our unsuspecting Lalafell is like to quaff heartily and without heed. Here then, take these reagents. But mind your hands, they may appear to be no more than mere juice ingredients, but within them lies the potential for great chemical catastrophe. Catastrophe. Why do you tarry here? Grindfar awaits the twice-fermented Mantoy juice at Erlik's burial chamber, does it not? See it to him with all haste, and should you discover aught else, bring word to me forthwith. Of course he would be interested in anything that had to do with reviving the dead, considering his past. Were you able to mix us a gift from Mamuepo? Fermenting Mantoy juice Mantoy extract twice greatly lessens the bean's natural bitterness, resulting in a smoother aftertaste. Side effects of the beverage include a decided loosening of the tongue. Oh ho! Job well done, my friend. I know I was right, and I was in the right to ask this of you. I need time to see the deed done. You and Flamin will have to wait. Sorry for the wait, my friend. Thanks to your little gift, I heard what I needed from Mamuepo. I'll tell all as soon as some old friends of mine arrive. These two are Papakuli and Cesaruka, the sons of Amalgina and Sons Mineral Concern, and old friends of mine. It was they who arranged my meeting with Mamuepo. Before I tell you what Mamuepo spoke of Heartstrike, I must tell you of our crime, the unforgivable crime that denied a young girl a happy life. It was 15 years past. The leaders of Ul'dah were weak in the face of the Guardian threat, and so ffXIV and we had a rebellion in our hearts. One day, with the small folk behind us, we meant to take to the Syndicate a proposal of early and open war with the Empire. To lend our movement weight, we orchestrated a riot within the city center. There was a festival, a parade, and a beast, bound and shackled. The plan was to set it loose, so that we could then bring it back under control. Grindfar and the ffXIV would become heroes of the people and use that influence to lead the uprising. It was folly. Our plan failed. Once unleashed, the monster could not be brought to heel. It ran rampant and in doing so killed Acilia's father, Warburton. By her misguided hands, the only family that child had left was taken from her. But you raised her as your own after that. You did all you could to make things right. Not like me. I took the Craven route. I ran. No matter what good may come of the rest of my days, it will never undo that day. I must live with it, and I will. I'll carry that burden for me, and for the ffXIV. This wrong was ours and ours alone. I will not expect you to understand. It is enough that you seek out Heartstrike for your own reasons. But where our interests are the same, we'd like to help. Cesaruka, tell her. As a Guardian spy loyal to the Yalamigan resistance, Warburton learned of a threat to Ul'dah far more menacing than the Empire. Looking back, we can only assume it was Dalamut and what it contained. Never did we imagine such a horror. We thought only to use the idea of a threat to stir the people to rebellion, to drive them to favor war with the Empire. But Warburton died, and with him whatever knowledge he had, and so we could not say for sure that what the threat to Ul'dah was. Even so, ffXIV would not relent. He conspired with Mamuepo to make use of Heartstrike. No doubt he meant to revive Warburton and learn from him what he knew. But before he could, the Syndicate took action. They sought to stop the uprising that wanted war with the Empire, and did so by having assassins of Death's Embrace murder the ffXIV. Momowepo came across his remains and thought it the perfect chance to test Heartstrike for his own ends. That is how the ffXIV became his first subject. Needless to say, the ffXIV did not rise from the dead. Heartstrike's powers were no longer great enough to work such miracles. There's likely a similar story behind the corpse of the young lady found after Momowepo incurred the wrath of the Sultana, and was dismissed from the Order of Nalthal and imprisoned. Heartstrike was returned to its original keeper, Lord Lorito. It was then that I stole into Lord Lorito's estate and made off with the Heartstrike, but as we said, its power had already waned. I swear by the gods I threw that bloody thing into Stud Creek to be done with it. If someone did use it on this girl, they must have fished it up from there. Beyond any magical powers, Heartstrike is worth a pretty girl, simply as an ornamental blade. True treasure. Perhaps someone found it at the creek bottom, sold it at the market, and from there it found its way into some criminal hand. If there's any clues to be had, they'll be at the market. We do well to ask the city's shopkeepers what they know, but I can't ask them all on my own. Will you aid me in this, friend? Then I'm in your debt. Come, let us talk. Let us talk of who is to visit what shops once we are outside the burial chamber. This is some really cool Ul'dah and 1.0 lore. I like this a lot. Wasn't sure what direction they were going to go with the Alchemist quest, but I am happy. I'll see you to the Sapphire Avenue Exchange. Setsuruka and Papakuli, you take the Ruby Road Exchange. As for you, friend, pay a visit to Ashtame's Aesthetics. It's owned by Lord Lorito, after all. Someone there may know something of the path it's taken since it left its hands. Not yet ready. By the stars, if it isn't the good Lyn, whatever brings you to us today. Heartstrike. Now that is a name I've not heard in many a moon. But I can assure you that never in the past was Heartstrike the prize of a thief. Although I do recall, yes, it was once sought after by some burgling ne'er-do-well or another. Unbeknownst to him or her, however, the blade they made off with was a fake commissioned from a talented adventurer. The true Heartstrike had since lost whatever magical powers it may have had. Once word of that spread, its price on the market plummeted to little more than the counterfeit itself. It is for that reason that the decision was made to sell it to the merchant Ansabird. Yet even so, I venture our dear Nielferson... Actually, Nielferson? I think I said it correctly. Is still held tight in the grip of its curse. Think, one of our very own, and one of Ashtame's very finest. Oh, my poor Nielferson. Lyn, are you there? Please, you must come to Frondale's frontistery right away. Something dire has happened to Grindfar. Oh my, you look as though you have somewhere else to be. Please, take your leave of me. If there is aught you ever need, please do not hesitate to ask again. As I run into a sign. It is terrible, Lyn. Grindfar was attacked and stabbed. I'm told that his wounds are grievous. It would appear he wounded his assailant in turn. We have no idea who it was, but we have a blood trail leaving the scene of the crime. We would simply follow the blood trail straight to the attacker, but it has been wiped clean in places, quite deliberately. You're an alchemist, are you not? You must ask your guild's great Severian what he would do. But what alchemy can we follow a blood trail that is no more? We will wait for you at the site of Grindfar's assault. It lies on the road to Pearl Lane in the Gold Court. Bring us what we need. Okay. A friend of yours was attacked, you say? Do tell. I see. So the blood left behind is the only parcel of evidence you have in your hope to identify this assailant, and it has been most evidently and tidily tended to, leaving you unable to give pursuit. And this is why you have come to me, yes? Well, you're right to do so. The alchemical accolades I have accrued are not without merit, mind you. They are given precisely for my expertise in solving such scenarios with the greatest of ease. Did that rhyme? I believe it did. It would appear I am as great a poet as I am a scientist. Shall we let the class begin then? Lesson number 1. Once spilt, blood cannot be completely removed from any surface. It may appear gone to the naked eye, but there are alchemical components of blood that remain stalwart. And those components can be made to dance before the mortal eye once more through the use of a concoction known as luminol. It serves as a catalyst to trigger a luminescent reaction to any sanguine spillage. Come, I'll provide you the ingredients. This was asked of you by Papakuri of Amagina and Sons. A worthy client, indeed. Best not keep him waiting. Deliver the luminol to him with all haste, before it is too late and your criminal too far. I dare say this case is leading you closer and closer to the fires of truth, but take care lest the flames burn you on your approach. I'll abide nothing to happen to you when you have so much work yet to do here. Luminol. Where? Am I? Huh? It is in the merchant strip. I think over here? Yes. Difficult to see, but it's over there. Alright. Nope. This one. This is the spot where Guidefar came under attack. Oh, I can't wait to catch whoever did this. I'm going to do things to this person. Unspeakable things. When applied to an object that has recently been in contact with blood, this alchemical admixture will change color. You've brought what we asked for. Let us waste no more time. Look there! Where the blood trail was wiped away glows, and it leads towards the Sapphire Avenue Exchange. The chase is on. I love these two. They're so good. Another glowing bloodstain. Leads to the north. Just want to see if there's anything. Yeah, there's not really anything special to it. It will just lead you in the general direction. We've got lead, Lynn. This merchant claims to have seen an unsavory fellow with an open wound. Indeed I did. He had blood flowing from a gash in his hand. I told him to make for the frontistery for treatment, but he simply purchased a salve for his wound and made off towards the Gate of Thal. Let us follow. Come, Lynn. With you and your liquid magic, we'll sniff this cur out wherever he goes. It's quite amusing to see these two buggers running around. Oh, really? Behind the fucking corner, brother. There you are then. Thanks to that brew of yours, I think we found our attackers then. Looks like this leaded warehouse. I spoke with the master here. He says this warehouse is led by a merchant named Ansabert. Is that a name known to you? What? It's the same as the merchant who purchased Heartstrike from Ishtame's aesthetic? That can only mean Gainfar was attacked to interfere with us investigating these corpses. Ooh, now I'm getting angry. Thanks to this mongrel running, we were able to grab it by the tail. Now all that remains is to trap him. Sasaruka, take word to the brass plates. I'll stay posted here to make sure nobody slips by. Consider it done. And you, Lynn, get some rest. We should be in for a battle of attrition here if our quarry stays in this hole. Yes. Allow me to drink something. Forgive me, Lynn. I've failed all of you. Ansabert has made his escape. By the time Sasaruka arrived to the blast blades and we entered the warehouse, he was already gone. We kept watching shifts after that, but he did not return. With that, he was onto us. But the more we learn of our prey, the more likely we are to succeed in our hunt. Says Ruka found a woman in the employ of Anseward, an attendant. We've gotten word she is out on the market as we speak. Come with us. We mean to search for this attendant at the Sapphire Avenue Exchange. A lot of full zoomies. Yes, that is correct. I am in the employ of the merchant Ansebert. May I inquire as to what business this is about? We have reason to believe your master is involved in a murder. Tell us, have you noticed anything strange about him or his estate of late? Master Ansebert? Well, now to mention it, there was another young lady who began working as a tenant around the same time as myself, but one day, with not a word of any sort, she simply up and vanished. I never saw her come to work again after that. Master Ansebert claimed she was stealing valuables from his home, and he had no choice but to discharge her. But I grew to know her in the time we spent together. She never would have done such a thing. I came to hear a rumor not long after. People say that Master Ansebert only hires as his attendants women of humble means, and I confess at times I find his gaze quite discomforting. It's alright, you're safe now, but I must ask, will you come with us to Elric's burial chamber? There's something we need to know, and only you can tell us. If it will in some way help you to learn what happened to that girl, then yes, I will follow wherever you ask. Oh boy, it's a creep. Creep alert! Wee-oo, wee-oo. Yes, it is her. The girl at rest in the coffin is the same that worked beside me at Ansebert's estate. I know now, as I suspected then, that his accusations of the theory were lies. He did this to her. We must capture Ansebert before he harms anyone else. I'm sorry, I know this is not an easy time, but I must ask, where is he now? I know only that some dealings with a new client had taken him to Revenant's Stall. Well, let us make for Revenant's Stall. The hunt is on again. A lot of us got to go. Sometimes I wish I was playing a Lalafell. I'm not gonna lie, there's some things where being a Lalafell would just be funny. But I could never replace my Lyn. He'll come here before long, we'll need only wait. Make ready to show Ansebert the vengeance of the dead. What else are you lot? We're here to ask about the corpse of a young lady known to have been in your employ, one of your lady attendants. I know nothing of such things, and resent the implication. I've no business with you, and you've none with me. We know you attacked our friend as well. The evidence all points to you. Confess now. The penalty you will pay will only grow if you don't. I told you I know nothing of such things. I urge you to relent in this. A merchant such as myself has means of dealing with such harassment. Do you now? And what means are those? I'm eager to hear. You? Impossible! It was stabbed through your very heart. Grandfather, you're well again. What sort of warrior do you take me for? I spent years cheating death by sword and spell. Do you think some common blade in an alley would be the end of me? Now then, which of you was it? My sword left a nasty bite of its own. Let's have a look at those hands of yours. Well, it would seem you've left me no recourse but to kill you all. Send these fools to their maker. Didn't you hear him? That's a grindford, the bronze bull. He's the bleeding legend in the Colosseum. Up there with the likes of the Hellfire Phoenix. You're not paying us enough for this merchant. If you have a fight with the bronze bull, that fight is yours alone. I thought my past behind me, but perhaps I'm not behind it. I'm not behind it. Ah, no matter. What say you then, Ansebert? Are you prepared to confess your crimes? No. The girl. It was her fault. She forgot her station. The debt she owed me for taking her in. She had no right to refuse me. In the end, I forced myself upon her, but to no avail. She swore she would tell all of Ul'dah of my improprieties, that she would tarnish my reputation, ruin me. I could not abide that, so I silenced her. We're not here to judge you for your crimes. That task will fall to others. We are here for Heartstrike. You have it still, yes? Surrender it. We'll take him back to Ul'dah and the Brass Blades, but fear not, should we come under attack and he die along the way, well, we'll be sure he receives a proper burial. These two Lalafell are really good. I like him. Alright, so another cutscene seems. So this is the true Heartstrike, and the blade I stole was nothing more than a fake. Now, we must find a way to release Njálfrisson from the curse that binds him. We would show it to Severian. There are rumors he's dabbled in raising the dead before. Perhaps he knows something we do not. Boom, 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 bah. Alright, back to Severian. As I do a stretch. Yeah. That's the sound I make when I stretch. I do. Yeah. Hello. We must find a way to break the curse at his blade. Well, what a most pleasant surprise. I heard a horde approaching and thought I'd be inconvenienced by some daft clientele. Now this is a rare treat indeed. A Heartstrike, I presume. How foolish Lord Lorito must have felt when he realized his blade was false, and my weapon was genuine. And now I too see for what it truly is. Heartstrike is not and never was a blade with a glorious power to turn death to life. It is, and never was, a blade with a hellish power to turn dead to undeath. It is in all ways a tool for the most detestable of those who practice the dark arts. When a blade punctures the flesh of the dead, the magic contained within this jewel here commands to action the deathly forces that grip a corpse. And yet behold, to the other side, there is no such jewel embedded here. I would hazard it was dislodged at some point, in all the exchanging of hands and violent stabbing this weapon has seen over the years. Without the other stone, there is not enough power to fully render death to undeath. By that grace alone did Njálfrisson and the young lady continue to lie in their perfectly preserved state. Had both stones remained, they would have risen as monsters, not as they were known in life, and not truly living. With the power it was still able to muster, Heartstrike simply fettered their spirits to their bodies. That in turn explains wondrously well why their flesh was never set to rot. Now, or at any point hence, the undoing of Heartstrike's magic will serve to unbind their spirits. Then and only then will they be free to return in peace to the ethereal realm. How do we undo what it has done? I dare say it is far more simple than you might imagine. You need only destroy the source of the magic. Stay your sword, fool. You will not break the magic by breaking the blade. You must obliterate Heartstrike and leave nary a trace of its physical existence. To that end, we require a powerful agent, an acid, a dissolvent of some sort. And that being the case, you have done yourself a great service in coming here. Such a concoction shall prove no feat at all for myself and my prodigious pupil here. Is that not right, pupil? Indeed not. I would expect nothing less from you. And so in the end we turn to you, friend. Wrongs of our past were our own, and I hope to right them by my own hand, but it seems that was not meant to be. That shame is ours to bear. For now, take your time. Steady your hand, and make us what we need to undo what Heartstrike has done. It will await you at the Erolic's burial chamber. Look at how far you've come. Without me even realizing, you've grown to be quite a dependable assistant. But enough praise. It has not become me. Come, let us see to the task at hand. We are in need of a solution that will dissolve this accursed blade. Pew-whip. How did you fare, friend? Is the mixture made? Dissolve and so potent it will eat through almost anything. Let's put this to the test then. I've run from your death ever since it took you. It was a bronze bull, but from that day to this day, I've run from myself, from the blade that is my very life. But now at last I can move forward, and see you sound to the other side, and live as I should, as I was meant to. Be at peace now, friend. Lay down the heavy sins of that day. I will carry them, yours and mine both. The ffXIV. Niall. This is it then. The end. The very end. Never will I forget you or our time together. The days I spent in your arms, in your love. Never. It's probably also another 1.0 character that I do not know at all. I love you, my sweet. Then, now, always. Farewell, my darling El. There are no words, friend, no words. I owe you more than I could ever hope to repay. By your toils, my dearest Niall is now in peace. I know not what to say, but this. Thank you. 1,000 times thank you. The ffXIV. Chin up, Cicerica. This is an end, but not the end. There's still a path before us, before each of us, that we must walk. Yeah, right. And there will be those who we lean upon. Just as we have to get here. Your mentor Severian is one such soul. Please, do tell him how grateful we are for all he has done. Welcome back, my intrepid cadet. Tell me, did it all go well? Is Heartstrike no more? Then your dissolvent did as dissolvents do. That is good. I'm eager to move on to our next lesson. I put to you, a fledgling yet great alchemical mind, in this quandary. Should you be faced with the death of one whom you loved more than life itself, and had at your means the method to resurrect him or her, would you? Oof. No. You and I were very different people indeed. You are far braver and far more noble. I venture that you, as on most, know the pain of losing someone very dear to you. Too real, game. There are those who would do anything to bring back those they torturingly and unyieldingly dear. They held torturingly and unyieldingly dear. Were the path to do so presented to them, many would find the temptation to tread it too great to resist. I dare say I must count myself among their number. I did what I could do unto the death of my beloved. Yet in the end, her breast never swelled with the breath of life again. We were able to say our farewells, forever, and for that I consider myself blessed. In the face of such loss, we can do naught but confront our own weakness, and carry on with our lives. That act itself is a central pillar of this miracle we call life. Well, enough of this Heartstrike business. It is done and behind us. And while we busied ourselves with it, many chores have amassed at the frontistery. There is much to be done. You did well, Lynn. And you are amongst the finest alchemists I have ever had the honor to train. Come and see me again, whenever you find yourself in need of help. What a quest, man. Holy shit. That was a good quest. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Little Dance where we are playing Final Fantasy XIV. In the next episode we are going to go and do the final crafting and gathering job quest. Like the final individual one. In the form of Culinarian. Hopefully it's gonna be a little lighter than this one, because this one's pretty heavy. Anyway, goodbye.